Hey everybody, good afternoon. How's it going? Kimberly, my favorite subscriber is here. My favorite subscriber is here. My favorite subscriber is here. Good to see everybody. What a day, right? Looked like all doom and gloom this morning, then epic rally this afternoon, right out of the top of the gamma box. Pretty nice, pretty nice. So this whole Iran situation got oil kind of all hot and bothered and flustered, but the U.S. Navy announcing they're going to be escorting oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. If we don't get the oil prices back under control, though, that leads to inflation concerns, big inflation concerns, and so we'll talk about that just a little bit and then dive into at least 30 minutes of your requests. We'll kind of kick that off and we'll roll into a members only stream in about an hour. So set this up. There we go. Set it up. So I'll give you extra minute. Anyway, there we go. Before we talk anything, though, all trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Past performance not necessarily indicative of future results. This presentation intended to be informational, educational, fun, entertaining, and it's not a recommendation to be buying or selling any financial instrument. If you want somebody to tell you what to do, well, there's an Edward Jones office underneath me. You can go talk to them and get a financial advisor to tell you what to do. It's what they do. Anyway. So, spring, the signs of spring are coming. I guess we got time change coming up next week for those in the United States. I guess we'll hear all about how we should do away with that once again, the construct of time change. But this whole Iran action here, let's just jump into the chart, popped out of the top of the box a little bit. But oil, can it sustain the move? That's a big question, right? We started to launch off today, and then the announcement came that maybe we'll escort ships. And if we come back down, something to watch out for. We could come cruising back down to that 40 to 50 and 50 on oil, that 40 to 50 zone. I've only been talking about it for a few years now. When we zoom out and look at the big picture here, well, we've got this high back here at 130 all the way back in March of 22. And this has been grinding lower in here. It's not nearly back to where it was back here, but golly, felt that coming. But it's also not up here at the top. And if this low that we recently made, I kind of warned when we get down in the mid to low 50s that missiles fly in the Middle East. Guess what happened? We got down here. It's happened last year in April. Missiles flew, sparked it up, chilled back out, went back down, got down here, missiles flew. Yeah, there's a little bit of a build up into it, but missiles flew yet again. And I guess it depends on, does it just spike back down or do we keep going? If we keep going, inflation is the name of the game. How do we control inflation? Rate raises. That's the pretty much the only tool in the whole Fed arsenal to fight inflation. The government could release strategic petroleum reserves, but guess what? Those are pretty much empty. We haven't really filled them back up. So we're sitting there at $20 higher on oil since Christmas time. They say supposedly for every dollar a barrel higher on oil, we can add 1 to 3 cents a gallon on gasoline. And we look at gasoline. It's up there. That's so much for Trump being able to claim that gasoline prices are down since he took office. That's now spiking on the futures. Wholesale gasoline up, not down. And then we look at diesel fuel, heating oil. So you find that, and look at that spike. It's right up in the target, baby. And this is bullish, so this would be set for a continuation higher. Unfortunately, for those of you that drive diesels, it's looking like we're going to go on up even higher. Wholesale diesel sitting at 318 right now. Has the potential to come on up here and retest the highs from back here in 22. Funny how that chart played out, right? Moved up, retraced, held. Here it goes. Right up in here, a retrace, hold above, and continue higher. It's funny. It's just price action. This would set... Yeah, this would set this high probably right up in here. If things get sparky, could be even higher. But that's what we're looking at. And this is where the big, even more than gasoline, this is where the biggest driver of inflation comes from, because heating oil, aka diesel fuel, there's not a single thing you get. It's not a single thing you can touch. It hasn't been moved, processed, dug up, some way, somehow gotten to you with diesel fuel. There's just not. There's nothing we eat. There hardly unless you, even if you grow it yourself, unless you live completely off solar, which you probably got your solar panels brought to you by diesel fuel, unless you, live off well water, which the well pump you have probably brought to you with diesel fuel. There's just virtually no way you could completely live without touching something these days that hasn't been moved with diesel fuel, and diesel fuel going crazy higher. Is probably going to bring inflation. Now, how do we control inflation? Well, that's a good question. The only tool in the arsenal is this one right here. Fed funds rate. And funny enough, we went a little higher than I predicted. We went a little sideways longer than I predicted. Pulled back just a little bit. But what if what I said years ago, back in 22, what if what I said years ago actually plays out and we go higher up into the actual financial crisis? What if we have to fight inflation? Well, that's really got to put the screws to everything. That's going to mess with everybody, isn't it? We're still in this danger period here. This thing, despite them saying that, we've beaten inflation, it's all taken care of, I can foresee the interest rates having a spike to try to control inflation, and that would lead to an interesting situation, I guess you might say. Interesting situation. So, let me know what you think in the chat there. It's pretty wild. I drew that on the chart. Gosh, back in December, and here we are. Right at it too, right at the target. So I would expect a pullback, which we're already back a little bit, but I would expect a pullback, maybe back to $3 wholesale. These are the wholesale prices, and then spike on up, and that spike puts us right up here Just want to ease it down just a little bit. Right up in the 415 to 450 area. I guess wrong where it's good you're doing the beer money trade, because you might need it to be able to fill up your fill up the tank on that beast of yours. Anyway, crazy stuff. But it's all because of war, right? It wasn't on the chart all the way back here, and I mean, this didn't start with a move up off the low from April last year, right? We didn't make the lowest low here. Start this with a 3-wave correction and then set up this. No, this is all like, this has nothing to do with past performance, right? It's all about, it's just about the war. Funny enough. Surprise, surprise. Just glad I fill up my truck with solar power. Already paid for. Used panels. It's nice. Anyway. Craziness. Gold took a little bit of a step back today. I'm warned about this. Warned about it. So we have potentially completed the ABC right up into the perfect exact target. Potential for this to come back down and match this first move down with this move down is highly elevated. So if you still got exposure to gold, the mind bender is going to really mess with everybody. Big war and chaos, and gold takes another spill. Silver, kind of in the same boat here. It hit the ideal ABC also. Hit that ideal 97.58. Taking a step back. It's also likely to do a same big drop. Now, I kind of thought that we would do it off of first move down, retrace, next move down. But it looks like that was all the first move. This is actually going to get a little bit crazier to the downside here. Could actually see it spike on down to that target area right down there around 50, like I've only been talking about for a few months. So first move down, retrace, next move down. That potential is kind of set up. Now, we would expect this to swift move, retrace, swift move, retrace, swift move to finish it up. That could last out to well into March, could last out to April, or it could wrap up in the first half of the month. I have no timeline on this. Is most difficult thing. You can see this one dropped in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. So this could wrap up quickly, or it could take most of the month. Don't necessarily have a preference there. And it's not like theory of alternation or anything like that. It's all the same correction. And Bitcoin here hadn't really done jack diddly at all. Kind of unfazed by the events of the past few days. Doesn't seem to care about the price of oil in the rest of the world. Just chopping around, doing its own thing. So, relatively immune. Dollar trying to break through the roadmap line. This is probably the most interesting out of this chart. Now, we are at the resistance. This is the A so far. This is the B so far. And this is the C potential. But this also could be the lowest low, and this be the actual, instead of an A, this could be the 1. This could be the 2 that bounced off the 618. This right here, if we get a little spike on up here, this 150 area, 100.40, 100.50, that tips the odds this is at 3, kind of like oil. Pull back, hold above the roadmap line, and go for even higher. And then if if we get above 102, we may see a brief pullback, but this can propel this thing into a stop out of the short dollar trade. I set us up for a rally that goes up to 130 to 140 right there, which coincidentally enough, looking at this macro big picture kind of view of the dollar being higher, sets us up for a run up into this area. Look when the last time that happened. The 80s. Jumping back over here. Look when the last time a giant spike happened. Interesting. So the dollar being high and interest rates being high. If it fits, it ships. This could be a problem right here. So we'll see what happens. Just be careful out there, everybody. Things could turn ugly in a hurry. I remember today asked me if he wants to admit it. If he's on here and wants to admit it, he can. But I had a member ask me today. He's like, I seem to recall maybe a year or two ago, you said there'd be some kind of big chaos event in 26, 27 that might cause the market to drop. Imagine that. Anyway, thanks for being here, everybody. That's kind of the macro event. We have, I don't know that the war really matters. The two beans about it. I mentioned we were probably going to retrace to the roadmap line. We didn't quite touch it today. Got darn close, but didn't quite touch it. Didn't quite touch it on S&P. Maybe we did. Last time I checked, it was close. Oh, we did. Good. I like that. Could get continuation lower, but that actually touched. Just barely. Just barely. But it wasn't a lower low than this back here. So this would have to be a whole correction standing on its own. And let's just kind of clean that up. There's a lot of junk, right? Here was the high. There was a low. There was a move up. And there was the retrace. So this could be a complete correction. And ABC, absolutely beautiful correction. That could be it. The potential is here. But that was it. Possible. Don't necessarily think so, but it's possible. I think the cash index would look much better if we actually dipped a little bit lower. But it's also proportionally possible that that was finished. The A, the B, the C hit the perfect proportion. Right on the money. To be complete. We can go higher from here. Wild, right? Nasdaq. Now this would actually look better if we did drop just a bit more, because this first move down over here, ABC, and this retrace, and this pullback, like it's all sloppy. The highest high here was not here like it is on the S&P. It's over here. This was a lower high. So this looks like one big correction. And that would look best with a lower low. But when you look at the Mag 7s and stuff, they're kind of played out. They're all kind of nearing support. You got a little bit that, like Google could come down a little bit more. But Amazon looks like it already bottomed. Meta looks like it bottomed way back here in November. Moving up. Microsoft looks like it's pretty much played out. It's bottomed, potentially. Nvidia could have a little bit more. And since it's the biggest dog in the land, maybe between Google And Nvidia, that's where we pulled the last little bit of air out of Nasdaq. Tesla, potentially getting near the bottom here. We did poke a lower low today, so that does set up the potential to dip just a little bit lower down to that 370 area right there. And Netflix, it looks like it already bottomed potentially. We'll have to see in the coming days. Like if we can hold below this, turn back down, could drag it down. Now Netflix, not an official Mag 7 thing, but it used to be a FANG stock, so I like to include it. And for the most part, the stuff that was up this morning stayed green. Few exceptions in here. Mostly things that were up pre-market stayed green. Mostly stuff that was getting murderized this morning pre-market stayed red. Few exceptions. Spotify came back. CrowdStrike came back a little bit. Intuit came back a little bit. Things that were already beat down, like Intuit. So this is where if you don't come to the morning show, maybe you should think about it, or at least think about watching it. You know, the setup coming into the open, a red day, 90% of stuff tends to go with the market. We had 10 to 1. Like for every gainer that was on the list here this morning in the pre-market, we had 10 decliners. That was a pretty heavy day. And even though we ended up barely squeaking out a green close from the open, still a down day from the prior day. Still a green candle. It's like the wrong color candle, right? Dropping down. Shit, you would expect it to be these red on drops. That means we're gapping down and closing positive. And then same thing over here. It looks like it's the wrong color candle, right? Going down, but it's green. The market's trying his darndest to build a bottom here, but still looks best with a little bit lower. All right. I'll do at least 30 minutes request. Rules of the game go. You got to give me a complete ticker, capital letters. If you just give me a company name, that makes it harder. Just give me a ticker I can type in really quickly. One ticker per person per request. Let 3 or 4 other people go. If you got like a whole big long list, make sure you're a channel member and bring that to the Ask Me Anything that starts at the top of the hour. And ready, set, go. I'll do as long as I can. We're going to switch over to an Ask Me Anything in 38 minutes. And that'll be for channel members. So if your name's in green, you got a star, you can come watch. And if you're like, how do I become that? Link's right down here. The little dollar symbol underneath the video here. Click it, become a channel member. It's like $5. And you can hang out with me. We'll hang out in that until basically I cover everything. So, all right. Let's see, Rio on the top. And I'm just going to do high level analysis here. Actually, I'm going to do a clean sheet analysis for you, unless there's something I need to go check out. So Rio, not really much to it here. We have a long-term resistance that's right where we're at. It's been in the slog for a long time, and that presents, I guess, opportunity to push higher. Target would be 104, possibly 113. Yeah, but it's not really something I'm feeling super strong with. I'm probably not going to chase this, because looking at an even bigger picture here, this has really just kind of been a sideways drift. Move up, retrace, move up, retrace, move up. It's not, maybe it's a good long-term uptrend for you. We do have this big, huge, long-term resistance coming up right up here. Never been through 140. But that could take, the way we're going, that could take another 2 years, 3 years to get there. So be careful on that one. What I just hit. And in phase, yeah, alternate energy stuff just not been super sparky. Potential, that's the bottom. Maybe. That's a move up. Retrace. It's not any kind of higher high, so be a little bit of a gamble. Didn't really have many pullbacks on the rip here. Lowest low. And we didn't really hit any major supports on a weekly chart. So it's kind of like a question mark. Like this to me would look like potential to come down in here before we can bounce. That's in phase XLP. It looks like we probably played that one out for now. This bounce, there was the high, here was the low. There was the 1618 target at 90. Potential for this to come back down to the roadmap line is elevated. And then we can go again. Played out PayPal. I guess not getting bought out. 42 was the low that I had been looking for a number of years. Yeah, this like it's gonna go clean sheet, but you know, for a number of years I've been looking for this target down here. Number of years being pretty much since before I became a guru. Been looking for this 42 target down here. It did dip a little lower down to the 39 area, but that could be finally the correction complete on PayPal. Like finally, like this whole giant move up and retrace, and it could finally be done here. It's possible. But it's not making any higher highs. It's not making any uptrend so far. It's just a possible potential bottom in place. Still below the roadmap line, still below the gap down. This is still looking pretty ugly. I wouldn't touch it with your money. Certainly not touching it with my money right now. You can buy if you want to, but yeah, this is downtrend all day long, so I would be very careful. Right there. TER. I guess let's pop back over to this chart. That's straight up rip off the bottom, and 396 potential resistance there. I would be careful. There's a lot of charts that look like this, straight big rip, and they're going to get a wicked pullback when it finally stops. Just seen it before. Happened plenty of times. People told me didn't know what I was talking about. Some of these charts never going to pull back. And ouch. And let's give a few examples. This chart just straight ripping. I was like, this is going to suck when it retraces. And there we go. Went from 400 back down to 20. So TER could come back down. Just be careful. Can at least take back and come back to retest this breakout right here. See, I had this high, we broke out through it, easily come back down to it, easily. In fact, that's what NVIDIA kind of looks like it's about to do. Marvell. It's an intraday period of sideways chop, and looks to me like that's the first move down. That's the retrace, and we've got potential to drop on down here. This, and you see this is basically a measured bounce. Be an A, B, C correction. It's also a measured bounce, so that could push it down in here a little deeper. Blackstone getting hit with liquidations. First move down, retrace, next move down. That looks like 1, 2, and it looks like we got more to go. 1, 2, 3. So I would expect it to come on down to here. And then potentially come on down here. That would be where I expect BX to come on down to. Somewhere around 80s. Or it's done on the downside. JP Morgan. Retrace to the roadmap line. That's solid. If we can hold this. Look at that. That's a pretty solid support across there. We hold on to that. Turn higher. Here's the high. Here's the low. Break back through 317. Upside 343, 349. with the next iteration, and could develop a little bit deeper retrace here. It's possible, echo trade wise. Could be that this is just the first move down. We do a retrace here and take another step down somewhere in this neighborhood before we go bouncing up. So that'd be the resistance area to watch. This would be the downside support area, and that up there. Carvana. I'm concerned about Carvana. I've not seen another company where the insiders are selling so aggressively. This is massive. It's got massive insider selling, and that can result in a big downside. Insiders don't sell when they think when the stock's going higher. It's just everybody's selling. Nobody's buying. Nobody. Like, there's no buyers. There's no inside buyers. That means you have little faith that their stock price is going higher. They all think that they can get the money now, and when the stock price is down lower, they can stock back up. Watch out. This could invite a large retrace. Could be back down in the mid 2 digits. Hunting for support. And next up. Oh, cool. Skip. I was like rolling down, then skipped all the way to the bottom. My favorite. All right. So Nike. I think I just put that in the wrong window. So Nike still has the same pattern. Potentially working on their reversal off the bottom. This was an ideal support. First move up. We're still sitting at the retrace. We need to pop up through that to get the upside going. This is a big picture, long-term potential bounce here. That retrace looks potentially done, and the next leg higher would be pretty massively higher. Could definitely hit 1,000. All the clothes would be Nike. So just a smaller picture here, though. First move up, retrace. Next move up, we're looking for exhaustion up here in the 120 area. Probably retrace back down like this, and then another move up. And then we'd probably look for another retrace back down in here, and that would set up the 1-2 for the even bigger move up. Right now, looking for it to do something that's not just sit here. Got to break above these highs. Got to break back above the roadmap line. I have no exposure to Nike, but it is on my bullish list. Potentially bullish list right there, Nike. And let's see, where was I? AAL. It's just, as I mentioned, I don't know when I looked at this. Probably yesterday when I was talking smack about the airlines. It's just a bad chart. On trend highs compared to UAL, that's just on a little pullback off the high, and DAL is just on a little pullback off the high. Even LUV, just a little bit pullback off this recent high. AAL doesn't have the same thing going on. It just doesn't show any kind of opportunity to me. It's a downtrend and probably going to go make another lower low than it made right back here at 8. Just choppy, overlapping, corrective, probably coming back down to the bottom. CMG. So far, bounced off the roadmap line, coming back for a retest. 618. That 618 sitting at 33.85. And it could hold the 50. Could come to the 618. Could push all the way down here to the 32. That's why this zone is highlighted in blue. The pink is the ideal bounce point for a measured bounce. If we can set this up. First move up, retrace. That next potential move could be pretty explosively higher right up here. 57. I am long at 49 with cost basis at 44. And I'm actually looking for this to pop out and go higher high than this. That would just be the 1, 2, 3 potential. We'd get a pullback here and 4, 5, possibly up to 77. Now, timeline on that, well, that could take a couple of years. Might be looking at something like this, and something like this. Could be well into next year, possibly even 28 before we did that. Right there. So good things possibly come to those who wait. And that's what we got right there. Estee Lauder is just kind of chopping. It's a bullish chart. We haven't really made any. I mean, these little highs were in here, and we're holding above the roadmap line. So this has been a positive reversal here. We don't have a big retrace yet. So we're just doing these iterations, permutations. Somewhere around 128, 133 would be my next expected high. Moving up. And AMD finally got that last leg down there. Pretty beautiful. So this is probably complete. That high. This first move down. A. Right there. B. And this C was lower low. And looking at this right here, we had a 1, 2, 3, 4. And that was a lower low 5. That could be done. Right there. That could be complete. Now it's possible we go just a little bit deeper and come back and test this right there. Got that alert sitting there, 183. It's possible we come just a little bit deeper, but this has all the makings of being finito, completo, off of, this correction that's been going since back here in, October? Yeah, we started it back here in October. So, potential for that to be complete. Looking for that to turn around, break above. We'll have to fill this gap. That's what we'll have to do. We'll have to fill this gap in. Likely to get a negative reaction off there, maybe a 618 retrace before we pop through. Then a break higher highs, and that sets this thing up for a major upside potential. Really like that. Talking about possibly up to 439, 300, 400. So pop from here to 300, probably retrace again, and then pop up to 439. What's AMD? Adobe still has downside to go. Have to come over to this one. My long-term downside targets, it's really close. We got in the vicinity. Just more ideal. Like that was the high. This was the A down. This was the B retrace. And this is a 1, 2. Just don't know if that was the 3 or if this has been the 3. We get a little 4 and a 5. This just didn't feel like a 4 to me. It's not really alternation. Need something last a little longer. So we could climb for the rest of the year here and then take a spill early next year on Adobe. So it's potential we're done, but it just doesn't quite look complete. And this 1, 2, 3. So we do, and then 4, 5. So I'm just not sure we're done on the downside. That doesn't mean we won't climb for a little bit. And we definitely pushed. That was definitely an extended 3, if that's the whole 3. And we didn't really bottom at a proportion where 3 would make sense. I mean, maybe it was a sloppy running 4, and this is, it was actually the 5. I don't know. Maybe, it's possible that this whole thing was the 4. It was just sloppy. And the C truncated and didn't fill out before it dropped more. Because the first move down and the last move down are proportionally the same size right there. So it just doesn't look right. It doesn't look right for a completed move. I'd be cautious until this actually makes a solid move up, a solid retrace, and at least sets up an ABC potential. And then if it proves it by doing a 1618 extension for a 3, then you could bank on a 4-5, and then a wave 2 retrace that holds the 4, and then you could bank on a bigger move, and then be the 1, this would be the 2, and you could bank on the 3, going to new highs. But until all that sets up, you're just catching a falling knife because the downside potential is still there for Adobe. DJT, man, volatile the last couple days. If this thing can pop to 15, I'm getting my money back. Just make a little pop, make a little run for the roadmap line. So right there, that doesn't prove anything, and if nothing else, it looks like it wants to extend just a little bit lower before we bounce again. Resistance coming down right here. Like I said, at 15, I have calls sold at 15 for profit. I think my cost basis right now is 13 something. So, oh, underwater. No big deal. I've been bringing in tons of money on this thing every time I sell calls. We got like 1,800 shares, I think it is. 13 cost basis. So if we pop up there, I'm back in the profit. I've worked this thing down. Like I started chasing after it back here and worked it down. Almost got called out here. But no. Anyway, Chewy. Nothing great on DJT. It's probably going lower. Chewy looks like it could potentially be done on that outside. That C definitely extended down there. Went way down to a 1618. We'd be like, well, that would be the proportions of a 1, 2, 3. We'll see if we bounce up, get a 4, and then a 5. That would indicate that we're going to do a big 3-wave retrace back to a 618, and then head on down towards 0. Otherwise, if this is an ABC complete, break up through the roadmap line, hold a higher low, we could be looking at the target up here at 54. Just don't know which way it is at the moment. This was a pretty nice place to retrace to. Tag the 618 perfectly. Measured bounce wise, that sets us up for an even bigger upside potential. Here's the low, here's the high, here's the low. That would set this up for a potential 160. I'll take it. I got 600 shares. My cost basis is like 38. Right up here. I'll take it. Boom. Go to 100. That'd be a pretty sweet. 170 would be a pretty sweet, just anything up here would be a pretty sweet move. 600 shares. Anyway, just selling upside calls. Potential for it to be done, but if it bounces off the roadmap line and goes lower, this could go down to 12. Pretty rough. CrowdStrike made a pretty good valiant reversal off the morning low. Made the lowest low back here a couple days ago. I should jump back to, let's just clean that up. So this one just not been able to get an uptrend, a solid uptrend going. Just not been able to. Let's see. back there. Smaller, smaller, smaller. Let's see. Smaller, about the same size. So nearly the same size as that one. It's hard though. Like if we can hold on to that and turn, it's possible we get that same size move off the low there. It's possible we can echo that baby up, maybe back to the 580 area. But this seems like more chop on CrowdStrike. Don't really, doesn't look complete on the top, and it doesn't look like we're at any kind of major support either. So it's tough. And we did breakouts, back tested, moved up. That was 2. And so there's potential that we come back and retest or hold in here and come on up to that fib line right there at 614. And it'd be kind of that move up right there, that move up right there, somewhere in that 580 to 614. That would be a pretty good place to top out, but we could come on back down deeper. It's just not very clear chart right now. For me, it's not clear. I'm not trading it. DNLI. I've drawn on this before. Looked like a daily bounce. Already played out. Probably going to retrace to the rub up line. Pretty simple. Hi, Jan. AVGO. Probably going on down just a little bit more. Now we did scrape the ideal target right there. But it just kind of looks incomplete on the downside. And because of that, it may turn into something that goes down even further and lasts longer. Could make it all the way back to retest this breakout. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down in a sloppy way, 3 up, and then push on down. Can't say for sure. That price action looks sloppy right now. Be a little careful on that one. I know my man Jack, my buddy, loves that stock, but I don't like that chart pattern. AMN looks like we could be set up for an A, B, deep B, and a C pop right in this area. And that looks like a dumpster fire chart, but I have no idea what I said about it before. Got that low, got that high. We're at a point where we could bounce. That'd be a pretty good spot to bounce. This is a monthly chart, so this could take a while, like a long while, like a really long while. That'd be crazy, but it's what kind of number that potentially could be in here. But it could take, like I said, it could take a while, like a long while. Like 20 years. Long while. AXTI. Let's remove. Get that all-time resistance there from the year. The year was 2000. 2000. And we're coming back up into it. Not a chart I would trade. I just wouldn't. It's just an uptrend, like just shooting up. and barely offering any pullback. So, like so many hyped up stocks, you know, like SanDisk, I wouldn't touch it. Like straight up off the lows, you know, WDC. For me, I wouldn't touch it. That's ripe for a pullback. MU, ripe for a giant pullback right there. I traded it from back here up to here. Made good money, double money. Stayed away from it here because this is crazy. Just be careful. It doesn't mean they can't keep going, but just I've learned plenty of times. Don't chase. You know, make your money wherever you hit your target. Get the heck out. Don't chase the bubble because it has a habit of taking your money, taking more money than you made, and making you regret. You know, making you panic and angry and depressed and having anxiety and denial and complacency. I mean, it's like all these negative emotions people associate with the stock market, to getting their money taken. If you can get your piece out of this and just wait for this, wait for the bottom to set up, wait for it to come back around and set up again so you can get another piece. I'm always looking for the piece over here, not looking for this trouble over here. So when I see them doing this, it's like G, T, F, O, S, T, F, A. If you don't know what those mean, go look them up. Pfizer, prime example there. See how we went up and kablooey. And that was a big gap down, right? You're like, well, how long should I stick with it? But the problem is, one big up, that's a long way to correct back down. Back into that support right there. Like, well, I don't think it's going to do that. It's okay. I'm not touching it. And trade desk, another one. Right? How low does she go? We're down at a potential support. A, B, C. Can we hold it? That's one a lot of people didn't think we'd pull back like that. There was the low. Here was the high. We still have lower to go potentially. This can still come back to 11. BG. Watch for that to come back down to the roadmap line. That potentially has 1, 2, 3. It's potentially got the correction in place. But this is a choppy start, and this is starting to look like it's played out on the first move off the low. So be careful here. Retrace right back down into this vicinity before it shoots up the next move. So it does look like potential complete, but it probably needs, could use, it doesn't have to, probably could use a retrace to give it energy to come on up here. Like that. That's BG for you, FRO. Got about 6 minutes left before we go to the Ask Me Anything. Members only stream. Just throwing that out there. Got a couple minutes to make sure you're joined up. That's played out at the 1272. Could come on up to the 1618 at 49. Could also retrace the breakout before we do that. Entirely possible. That just has one nice little, I mean, it's got a little retrace in there, little retrace in there. Starting to look played out and could retrace back down in here. And this be the 1, 2. Are we going up for a 3? That low, that high. Yeah. I'd watch out for that. Back in that vicinity. And that sets it up proportionally for a bigger pop. And that bigger pop could come on all the way up in here. That would be if this price action showed up, that would be a high confidence trade for a bigger potential gain. An outsized gain right there. It'd be a 1-2 setup. For potential 3 on up here around 130. Now you may be like, I'm not so sure about that. This is one I did that on right here. Potential 1-2 setup. And I got out right up in here because it felt like it was petering out. The proportions weren't like this. And then when we stalled out in here, I wasn't keen on that. So I went ahead and booked profit instead of getting a continuation up to the 3. And it's kind of good I did because it came back down. It was stalling out right there. So gotta update. You can't just stay stuck in the mud. And this is starting to look like 5 down right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. That probably invites a 3-wave retrace back to a 618 and then can have a lower low. No bueno. So it was a potential 1-2, but it turned out to be an AB. Played out. I guess that could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that just barely got a higher high and then big retrace. All right, moving on. Where was I? FRO, CRWD. I thought I already did that one. I already did that, didn't I? Pretty sure. Yeah. Already did CRW. You asked for it twice. Come on. No need to ask for it twice. I'm going down the list. CALX. It's just chopping here under the roadmap line, inviting further downside. FCX still hunting that retrace back down in this area right here. We almost got, I mean, they could be deep enough, but ideally we'll go just a little bit lower back down in the 56 area. Bounce there. Then 80 is the target area up here. Ideal target area. So I thought we'd stall out just a little lower. We came up a little higher, so it's possible this retrace doesn't go that deep. I was thinking it would come down here, but moving it all up a little bit back here, and that would set up the 80 potential. Could go higher, but I'd go for 80 right now. Work on the gravy later. ALB still churning the zone here. Has not been able to confirm we're going to leave this zone yet. So once this starts breaking higher here, gets out of here, we're probably coming all the way up in here. It'll be a big upside move. Talking about 500 to 1,000. That's kind of that's the 2 fib lines there. Beautiful upside potential. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's right. All right, 500 to 1,000, and that lines up with both moves. This move up and this retrace and that move up. Whether it's an ABC or whatever, it lines up at the same fib lines. So if it's bullish, we'll get up here. If it's bearish, we'll probably stall out down here and epically fail. We're about to switch over to members only stream. So Nike already did. DBD. I'll keep going on the list that's here. If you're not a member, it'll be in the members only stream. If you are a member, should change over. We had a little glitch. Give me a few seconds after we switch to make sure I get the stream going. YouTube's been kind of weird about it, like getting it swapped over, but it's not been the same process. Used to be automatic, auto magic lately. It's been a little bit of a problem. I'll do the best I can to swap it over and keep going. So, yeah, it's definitely already set. So, it's already in there. It'll have the same basic title. And, all right. TBD, Lex played out to the upside right there. Get that high, that low, and watch out for a bigger retrace. That's the biggest retrace we've had. This smaller little guy still looks played out. We're starting to be running on fumes without a bigger retrace on DBD. D Delta Boy Delta Bravo Delta. SX is